The turmoil surrounding Steve Harvey has escalated further, as his biological children have revealed that he is a cheater. My dad wasn't a full-time part of my life until I was 16. Yes, Mr. Steve Harvey has had a difficult few weeks, but it appears that the rumors that Marjorie had cheated on him weren't the worst of it. His four biological kids are now speaking up and exposing Marjorie for forcing Steve to choose her over his own kids. And this is why Steve has been a Debbie father to them. Now there is a lot to unpack in this whole drama. But y'all won't believe the receipts that they brought one night in Memphis. When me and Margie first got together, we bought all the kids together, all 7 of them. And all the girls went bowling and came back and decided they didn't want us to get married and said they don't think it's the right thing to do, I swear, every single time that we think we have heard the last drama about Steve Harvey and his nasty situation going on with his family. Something else comes up to show us that the family is even more messed up than we knew. And with these recent delegations that have come to life regarding the way he treated his own biological kids, listen, let's just say that they're not going to be nominating him for a Father of the Year award anytime soon or ever for that matter. But according to an insider, the drama going on in the Harvey family isn't just a messy fight over shmoney or an inheritance or anything like that. I'm sure that the money also plays a large role in the drama. But the insider claims that the real issue here is that Steve's 4 biological children have felt unloved by Steve for years, while they watched him for all of his love into Marjorie and her kids. Now people have always talked about how admirable it was that Steve chose to love Marjorie's kids, like they were his own kids. But it turns out that his biology magical kids feel like he loves Marjorie's kids, like they are his only kids. And it's easy to see why they would feel this way, because Steve really does act like Marjorie's kids are his only kids that he's ever had now. This has caused a lot of issues between Steve and his children, but especially because he treated his own kids like crap. And I'm not just talking about like abandonment. Well, he did abandon them, but the ones who were only abandoned were lucky ones, because his second son, Winton, was not abandoned by Steve. And he had it way worse than the 3 kids who got abandoned before he married Marjorie. Steve was married twice, and both unions ended in divorce. His first wife, Marcia Harvey, gave birth to his first 3 children, Brandy, Carly, and Broderick. Steve started pursuing his second wife, Mary, when Broderick was still a toddler, but he didn't tell Mary that he was a married man. He was already an absentee father in the lives of his first 3 kids when he divorced their mom and got married to Mary. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but Mary was the one who helped Steve build his comedy career. She literally put in all her life savings into helping him set up his comedy career so that he could make more money. He was still struggling at that point, and it was when he was performing at a comedy club where Marjorie was in attendance. Steve spied Marjorie out in the crowd, and he immediately fell in love with her. He tried to make some moves on her, but she turned him down because he wasn't rich enough for her. And they were both married at the time. But I don't think that mattered very much to Steve, because he even admitted that he had cheated on his first 2 wives a lot. He said, "Marjorie changed the way I existed. I'd never been in a healthy adult relationship. I'd never been loyal. I'd never been fully respected." Well, he hit it big in Hollywood, made a whole lot of money, and ended up dumping Mary. Surprise, surprise. He started dating Marjorie a few months later. He claimed that his bodyguard had been the one who set them up together, saying, "He told me, look, the only time I've ever seen you happy was when you were with that woman. When you're happy at home, you can make a lot of things happen. Marjorie, before you go and do something foolish and marry another woman, I'm calling it a rebirth, because I messed up so many times in my life." He basically ignored his first 3 kids while he was out here playing lover boy with Marjorie. And it got so bad that there are reports that he didn't even attend his twins' high school graduation. I went to school with the twins. They were a few years ahead of me, But people always talked and all eyes were on them because of who their father was. He wasn't present at their graduation now, y'all. I don't know the circumstances, but that is really, really sad. The person who knew the twins in high school revealed. However, Broderick claims that's not all. Steve's first 16 years of life were equally marked by absence. I didn't truly have my dad in my life full-time until I was 16. Right, yeah, it's very sad, but as bad as that is the kids who were ignored kinda had it good, because he didn't ignore his son with Winton. And listen, when I tell y'all that Winton had the worst of the first three, if you were wondering why Winton didn't get ignored well, according to Winton himself, he allegedly believes that it's because Steve was trying to punish his mom by using their son. For those who don't know, Steve's divorce from Mary was messed up. And it looks like he was using Winton to get back at her. According to Mary, Steve used to put his hands on Winton, if y'all know what I mean. And it all started around the time he started dating Marjorie. No, I'm not saying that Marjorie had something to do with Steve putting hands on his son. But Mary allegedly believes that Marjorie was trying to drive Winston and Steve even further apart. Allegedly, Steve got so abusive towards Winston that the police had to get involved at some point. TMZ even reported it, saying according to the kids, Steve hit him with a belt and then a paddleboard, the kind used for hazing in fraternities. According to the police report, cops took photos of the boy's injuries, showing bruises on his buttocks and right thigh, as well as cuts on his leg. The police report says the boy told cops the beating was so brutal, he had trouble urinating for days. The case was investigated by CPS, of course, but it was ultimately dropped. So when I say the kids who were ignored had it better, I wasn't joking now. I'm not trying to say that Steve doesn't love his children, because he does seem to care about them a lot, but according to Brandy and Carly, Marjorie allegedly made it clear that she had to be Steve's #1 priority, and Steve probably took that to mean that she had to come before his kids, and was more than happy to do that. And just how did he show her that she was his #1? Well, he decided to love her kids like he didn't love his own. To start with, he adopted all 3 of her kids and gave them his last name, which didn't make a lot of sense to most people. This is because her first 2 kids, Morgan and Jason, were already adults at the time. There was no reason for them to be adopted. But Marjorie wanted her kids to have the Harvey name because she knew that it would open a lot of doors for them. Plus, she also wanted to distance them from the fact that their fathers were drug dealers. And the Harvey last name was the best way for her to do that. Steve didn't stop at giving him his last name because he also gave them preferential treatment. He especially pampered Lori. And they frequently went on dates. On one of our annual father-daughter dates in my favorite Japanese restaurant. And he just started talking to me about guys. And you just told me that you always supported me. And you'd always be there for me no matter what. You loved me. The blended Tarby clan is divided, and there has been lingering jealousy among the siblings over Lori, the most famous of Steve's children, taking center stage with her high-profile love life. However, things get really bad when you realize that Steve's daughters begged him not to marry Marjorie. His alleged preferential treatment of Lori and Marjorie's children has generally caused a big issue in the family. An insider said he did the right thing adopting Marjorie's kids and loves them like his own. When Margie and I first started dating, we took all 7 of the kids out one night in Memphis. After the girls returned from their bowling date, they decided they didn't want to get married and said it wasn't the right thing to do. He didn't listen to them because he was the one covering their expenses and didn't think their opinions mattered. You guys don't have a relationship, a stable job, or a successful profession. I pay for your college education as I watch you guys make decisions. I only got one boyfriend that didn't work thus far, so I don't know how the hell you fixing to tell me I lived my sons was over there cool with it. Yeah, honestly, doesn't seem like he likes his kids all that much, so who can blame them for feeling a type of way about Marjorie and her kids? But even though they don't really like Marjorie all that much, they have to take their L's in peace Because Steve will have it no other way now we all had a slight idea of what was going on in the Harvey family. But these new revelations are just crazy fans' love comments saying, wow, so sad, Steve took care of somebody else's children, while absent from the lives of his biological kids. I view him through different eyes. I don't understand how you can turn your back on your seed and go on to raise someone else's with no real remorse. And funny fact, Steve hates kids that look like him and loves kids that look like Marjorie Yaldis is some insane allegations and situations. But I want to know what y'all think about this. Do you think Marjorie is as evil?